everyone. Today we are going to talk about a work breakdown structure for our project management topic. If you don't know who I am, I'm Kandis Porter. I have a Master of Science degree in project management, and I'm also a certified project management professional. In order to be able to successfully manage a project, you need to make sure that you truly understand the work that is associated with getting to the finish line. A work breakdown structure, it's a visual depiction of the work associated with it. Being able to create a visual depiction of what that work looks like helps you whenever it comes to estimating resources, cost, and time. This is going to be a critical step when you're developing your project schedule. And so I'd like to walk you through how you can create one of these. If you're interested in pursuing the PMP certification or project management professional certification, you're going to want to get very familiar with the Project Management Institute's PMBOK, or a guide to the project management body of knowledge. The 6th edition is the current version, and there should be a 7th edition released later in 2020. The PMBOK framework includes 5 process groups, sometimes referred to as phases, and 10 knowledge areas. The 5 project management process groups include initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. The 10 knowledge areas include integration management, scope management, schedule management, cost management, quality management, resource management, communication management, risk management, procurement management, and stakeholder management. You'll see the creation of the work breakdown structure takes place in the planning phase. The project scope statement should definitely be referenced during the decomposition of work. The scope statement describes the project deliverables and work required to create those deliverables. The scope baseline consists of 3 things. 1, the approved project scope statement. 2, the actual work breakdown structure, which is what we're focusing on today. And 3, the work breakdown structure dictionary. This is a very important piece as well, and I'll show you what one of those looks like shortly. The objective of a work breakdown structure is to break the work down into smaller components that can be accurately scheduled, costs can be estimated, and resources can be assigned. Deliverables and work at the lowest level of the work breakdown structure are called work packages. These are typically the lowest level of work managed by the project manager. I absolutely love this quote by Henry Ford. Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs. I always like to keep this in mind when I'm approaching a very large or challenging project, because once you get a solid understanding of the work that is associated with successfully delivering the project objectives, it gets so much easier to wrap your head around it. Let's now take a look at an example work breakdown structure. You will see that this work breakdown structure is deliverables-based. We will also take a look at an example work breakdown structure that is phased-based. Those are the 2 different ways of approaching a work breakdown structure. This one focuses on building a bicycle. You'll see that that top level where it says bicycle, that's really that end product. That's the vision there. And that is considered your level 1 work breakdown structure. Below that are the level 2 work breakdown structure. And you'll see that these are the big chunks of work that go into creating that bicycle. So 1.1, for example, frame set, 1.2, crank set, 1.3, wheels, and so forth. You also want to break each of those down, and you can see that the frame set is broken down into smaller pieces. So 1.1.1, 1.1.2. You want to continue to break these down until you are able to accurately estimate cost, durations, and assign resources. I'll give you a few tips for knowing when enough is enough when it comes to breaking it down. I do want to point out, this would be the lowest level, or that work package level, for integration. So you will see that testing, the lowest level, it gets broken down into 1.6.4.1, component testing, product testing, customer testing. And this is the level where, in this case, they can accurately estimate that cost, the schedule durations, and assign resources. One more tip that I'd like to provide you with: wait until you're completely finished creating your work breakdown structure before you start numbering. I can tell you that will save you a lot of time and effort if you wait until the very end to number. Whenever I'm creating one of these in a real world, say you get all of your stakeholders or project team members into a room and you're working on the work breakdown structure together, I like to use something very simple. I often will get sticky notes and start at level 1, go down to level 2, go down to level 3, and so forth. That makes it pretty easy so that you can move the sticky notes around as needed. Here's an example of a phased-based work breakdown structure. You can actually download free work breakdown structure templates. I snagged this one from Smartsheet. Absolutely love using Smartsheet, and I am going to do another video on how you can really embrace and collaborate using that tool. However, let's focus on the different phases. They have divided this up into project prep, planning, development, final prep, and release. And you'll see this looks a lot different than what we just looked at as far as the deliverables-based work breakdown structure. You can approach it either way. It's really up to personal preference here. Here is an example work breakdown structure dictionary. You will see that the first column you can number as far as the work breakdown structure level. So we have level 1 there as the actual bicycle, all components brought together. Level 2 are that second row that I showed you, where it includes the frame set, it includes the crank set, it includes the wheels. And then you'll see that level 3 is also listed in here. The work breakdown dictionary is really helpful to get even more specific about what the work looks like. You will see here that each of those work breakdown structure components are now defined with a lot more details. This can also be really helpful for tracking cost. And if you work with an organization where they are going to assign cost control numbers or something along those lines, you can actually track them back as specific to each of the work breakdown structure components. It can also be helpful for determining the responsible organization or department as far as who is going to be accomplishing the work. So again, the scope statement, the work breakdown structure, and the work breakdown structure dictionary are what make up the scope baseline. I mentioned that I would share some tips relating to when is enough enough. Number 1, the 100% rule. Make sure that all work is accounted for without gaps. One thing that I often see missed is accounting for the project management. I always make sure that I have a project management piece in my work breakdown structure at level 2. Ensure that you get that work in there. So 100% rule, all work is accounted for. The 880 rule is another good tip. The deliverable can be completed in no less than 8 hours and no more than 80 hours of effort. If you find yourself breaking the work down into quarter of an hour increments, you've probably gone too far. Really focus on that 880 rule. The single point of responsibility rule, we talked about how at the lowest level, you want to make sure that you are assigning resources. The deliverable can be assigned to a single point of responsibility to accomplish. That's the single point of responsibility rule. And last but not least, I have foot stomped this several times. You want to make sure that the deliverable is described in enough detail to enable reliable estimates of time and cost. Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you really enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to this channel so we can continue to explore project management together.